Please, please.
Wait. Don't go near her, the hunter shouted, panic in his voice. But it was already too late. The boy's scream cut through the air as something yanked him backward. Thick strands of hair, moving like snakes, dragged him into the shadows of the forest. Then, silence. Moments later, a piercing cry echoed across the hills, chilling every spine in the village. On a cliff above, beneath a sky painted red by the blood moon, she stood. Barefoot. Still. Her head tilted slightly, her hair alive, twisting and hissing like a nest of starved vipers. Mona Lisa had fed again. And the people below knew, this night would haunt them forever. Mona Lisa was born during the harmattan, a dry time of the year when the wind is rough, the air is dusty, and even the animals are always thirsty. She came with a loud cry. The midwife didn't need to force her to cry because her small lungs was full of strength. But what followed silenced the room. The midwife, wiping her clean, froze when she touched the baby's head. There was no soft hair, not even a strand. No fuzzy baby curls. Just a perfectly smooth, shining scalp. She's bald, the midwife whispered, eyes wide. Her father, Chief Ofoka, stood by, arms folded. A man obsessed with appearances. All he wanted were sons who looked like him, and daughters who would grow into his pride. So, when he saw her, he couldn't say a word at first. Then, with a bitter scoff, he muttered, "She's not mine." And just like that, he walked out of the hut, out of her life and her mother's, and never came back. He left just days after Mona Lisa was born, moving to another town and marrying someone else. Dudu, still very young, was left alone to raise her daughter, a child others looked down on. She quietly brought up Mona Lisa on the edge of the village, far from the gossip and laughter that often turned cruel. But even in quiet places, pain and rejection still found their way in. What no one knew was that Dudu had once been cursed too. As a teenager, she had also begged the gods to make her beautiful. She had been bored like her daughter and was teased for it for many years. Desperate, she went into a forbidden forest and prayed for a change. For a while, the snakes she was given ate animals, lizards, goats, anything she could find. But Dudu had a kind heart. She couldn't let them hurt people. When the snakes got too hungry, they attacked her instead. She still had the scars on her back. Scared, she went back to the forest and begged the spirit Enjoku to take the curse away. Enjoku agreed, but only if she promised to never speak of what happened. In return, the snakes were removed. But the curse would live on in her womb. Dudu thought that meant she could never have children. That's what she believed until she fell in love with Chief Ofoka and became pregnant. She was wrong. Mona Lisa grew up to be a quiet girl. She was smart, always watching and thinking, but she stayed out of sight. When she was 5, she asked her mother, "Why don't I have hair like the other kids?" Dudu just smiled and said, "Because you are different. And sometimes, different means you're special." But the other children didn't see it that way. At school, they teased her badly. They snatched her scarf, threw sand at her, and stuck dry leaves on her bare head. They called her names like Masquerade Head. Even the teachers didn't treat her kindly. They looked away like her baldness was something they could catch. This made Mona Lisa feel ashamed. She started wearing 3 scarves at once. She walked with her head down. She stopped smiling. Then one day, after being pushed into a muddy puddle and laughed at by nearly the whole school, she couldn't take it anymore. She ran into the forest, crying. And there, by the river, was an old woman. The same one her mother had met years ago. It was as if the woman had been waiting for her, knowing she would come. "Do you want them to stop laughing at you?" the old woman asked. Mona Lisa nodded. "Do you want beauty as flowing as rivers, and for people to tremble when they see you?" Mona Lisa didn't answer with words, but her eyes said yes. "Then go to Enjoku's shrine," the woman said. "But remember, what you're given must be fed." Mona Lisa didn't tell her mother. That night, she crept out of the house in silence. Barefoot and scared, she made her way to the forgotten shrine of the god Enjoku. Standing at the altar, she whispered, "I want hair. Hair that will make them notice me." The ground shook. The idol's eyes lit up. "Then feed us," it replied. Her scalp burned like fire. She screamed and fainted. When she woke up, her head felt heavy. She reached up. Snakes. Dozens of them. Moving and alive, growing from her skull. Mona Lisa didn't know how to feel. She wrapped her head and went home. The next day, she walked into school and took off her scarf. Everyone stopped and stared. Her hair was long, shiny, and moved on its own. The boys who once teased her started carrying her books. The girls who laughed before now asked her for her beauty secrets. Even the teacher smiled and praised her. Dudu cried when she saw the change. But deep inside, she was afraid. She had seen this before. For 2 weeks, everything was perfect. Then the whispering began, from her own head. Her silky, shiny hair was no longer just hair. It had turned into snakes. They were hungry. And this time, they didn't want goats or mice. They hissed one word. Human. Mona Lisa tried to fight it. She didn't want to hurt anyone. But one afternoon, her classmate Bomo followed her behind a hut. He grabbed one of her braids and yanked it. "Let's see if this is real," he said, laughing. The snakes didn't like that. One hissed. Then another. Boma screamed. In seconds, his body dropped to the ground, cold and lifeless. Mona Lisa froze. She knelt down and shook him, hoping he'd wake up. But it was too late. She ran, threw up, cried, and screamed. But the snakes. They purred like they were happy. She hid for hours. That night, she went back to the shrine. "Please take it back," she begged. "I never meant to kill anyone." But the voice of Enjoku came again. "Beauty is never free. Now, you belong to me." The altar turned cold. She tried everything. She prayed. She covered her hair. She even tried to cut it off, but by morning, the snakes had grown back. Eventually, she gave up. The hunger returned every 7 days. So she started planning. She would wear her scarf and walk near the edge of the village, looking for someone alone. When she found a traveler, she would lead them into the forest. Then, she would take off the scarf and turn around. The snakes always knew what to do. She cried every time. But over time, her face grew colder. Sometimes, she whispered, "I'm sorry." Other times, she said nothing at all. People began to go missing. The chief's guards blamed angry spirits. The elders said it was witches. But the children whispered stories about a quiet girl with perfect hair and eyes that never smiled. One night, a boy followed her. He never came back. Only his hand was found, still clutching a strand of hair. It was rough like a snake, with tiny, sharp fangs. The elders went to Dudu. They asked her questions. She said nothing. But that night, she went into Mona Lisa's hut and fell to her knees. "I made the same mistake," she said through tears. "I asked the god for beauty too. I thought I had ended the curse. But I passed it on to you." Mona Lisa stared at her, empty. "You knew? And you never told me. I was trying to protect you. You failed." That night, the snakes hissed louder than ever. And the villagers. They gathered with torches and blades. A mob was coming. In a final effort to stop Mona Lisa, the village elders captured Dudu. They believed the mother's love might break the curse. Together, they marched into the forest. Mona Lisa stood waiting at the sacred cliff. Her hair hissed. Her eyes glowed with anger. "You laughed at me. You pushed me aside. Now, I will feed you all to my hair." But before the snakes could strike, the elders pushed Dudu forward. "Take me," Dudu cried. "Just leave the others alone." The snakes paused. For the first time, they didn't know what to do. Mona Lisa's hands shook. Her voice broke. No. She screamed. She fought to hold the snakes back, and this time, her will was stronger than theirs. When they tried to lunge again, she made a choice. Mona Lisa threw herself off the cliff, straight into the sacred fire pit below. The flames swallowed her. Dudu dropped to her knees, crying in pain. The forest grew quiet. The village was silent for days. Then, slowly, peace returned. Children laughed again. The fear faded. Years went by. Then, in a nearby village, a baby girl was born. The midwife smiled. She's perfect. But when she washed the baby's head, she screamed. Something under the scalp moved. There was a soft hiss. The snakes were back. Moral lessons. 1. True beauty comes from the heart, not your hair, face, or clothes. 2. Making fun of others for what they lack can lead to pain, for them and for you. 3. Taking shortcuts to be accepted can cost more than you expect. 4. Secrets passed down through families can hurt deeply, unless someone finds the courage to tell the truth. 5. Every gift has a price. Be careful what you wish for. Let Mona Lisa's story be more than a tale, let it be a warning, a mirror, a lesson. Look around you. Who have you mocked for being different? Whose silence have you mistaken for weakness? Whose pain have you ignored just to feel powerful? It's time to change. Choose kindness over cruelty. Speak love where others sow hate. Break the cycle of shame, secrecy, and judgment. Because the curses we pass on aren't always from gods. Sometimes, they're the ones we create with our words, our silence, and our choices. Let's build a world where no child has to feed their pain to be seen. Subscribe to our channel if Mona Lisa's story moved you. Like and share. What lesson did you take from it? Let's break the silence together in the comment section. Thank you.
I love you.